Virtual reality is here. We have backed Oculus Rift and will support it in Star Citizen and Squadron 42. In terms of development time, it doesn't take much. Input is input, and if I didn't think we could accommodate all those different types of peripherals, I wouldn't have the support in the game.
And we are making an Oculus Rift game.
That's the plan.
As soon as we get the dev kits. Just saying.
29% of the people who responded to the survey told they intended to use the Oculus Rift when it was available for the game, which I think is pretty interesting. It's actually it's easier to do it for Star Citizen than it is for Doom, because most of the time you're sitting down flying in a cockpit, so it's just going to feel more natural looking around and doing stuff. So we're going to do that. I mean, we already actually have stereoscopic 3D in the game right now. So the Rift support's pretty easy once the Crytek guys have hooked it into their stuff.
Guess what, folks? The Oculus Rift dev kits came in. Oh, baby! And yeah, we're definitely going to let you look around the cockpit. We promised that the whole time. We do that kind of support. We'll be supporting it with this device for sure. And by the way, first time my winger tried that out, man, I got a little nauseous. But after a while, it's just incredible. It's just an incredible experience to be. You feel like you're. I mean, Chris talks about immersion. Man, it's coming, and you guys are going to dig it. The people who get the Oculus Rift, wow. It's going to be an incredible gaming experience. You've also got to play with the Oculus Rift.
Yeah, Oculus Rift.
And it's going to be interesting to be an avatar in our game in a bar, isn't it? When you're talking to your friends.
It is.
Sorry, people can't talk about that, but it's cool, huh?
No.
Yep, fair enough. It's cool.
$12 million. The Hangar module will feature Oculus Rift support.
As we are walking straight forward, can we look in any direction while fire our weapon in an opposite direction?
Wow, that's a tough question.
Well, no. The answer is yes. Some of the Rift implementations that were done on Doom and some of the other stuff were not, in my mind, the best way to do the VR representation. So yeah, it will definitely be decoupled. I mean, the system's set up to be decoupled. So I'm not sure if the Oculus Rift support's going to make it in for the first version of the Hangar, but it's definitely going to be functional by the time we get to the dogfighting and maybe before that. So we're working, like I said, on the little things like latency and stuff like that. But it's cool. We love it. So it's going to be great.
Jason Spangler. Hey, Jason, how you doing?
Hello, good.
So the fans would like to know what's going on with Oculus Rift support for the Hangar.
Well, here you can see we actually have it running.
So we've got it kind of working, but it's not completely working yet. We're not to a point where we want to release it.
Yeah, there's still a head tracking fix and a few other engine fixes we'd like to do.
So the fans will be seeing this at some point in the future, not too far away, right?
Right.
So we're supporting Oculus Rift, which is this great VR headset. That's the sort of stuff that you just don't see happen frequently sort of in the console world. PC is in my DNA. I think it's the most interesting platform because it's always evolving, it's always challenging you, and it's going to allow us in 3 or 4 or 5 years' time to do totally different things with Star Citizen, because the hardware will move along and we can push it even further.
And then we're going to use the Oculus Rift to like basically looking around, and wherever you're looking will sort of inform of things you can select and do stuff like that. So playing it with the Oculus Rift will be, I think, fairly intuitive. So we're definitely, it's not just going to be tacked on. It's going to be, there is some specific changes in the code to work best with Oculus Rift or other headsets similar to Oculus Rift.
We've promised Oculus Rift support. Today we release it. You're going to be able to tool around in your Hangar. If you have the Oculus Rift, you'll be able to check it out, walk around, see what's going on. It's not completed yet. It is like the first pass at that. There's a lot left to do. We don't have an interface which shows you which way you're facing, so you might be looking this way while you walk. But that's okay. First pass, we want your feedback. That's exactly what we need out of it.
And it all works, pretty well. You can check out. You can sit in the pilot seats, check everything out. But there's definitely some issues with it that we want to iron out.
Right. First blush. So it's funny, but in 1992, Chris had kind of created an early version of this from Strike Commander where you could look around the cockpit, you could see your hands move and stuff like that. And so one of the things that he was very excited about with Oculus Rift when they came up was, he could see his vision, realized in Star Citizen. Why are we doing it now? What's the deal now? We just feel it's time?
Yeah, it was time. We had the time available on the engineering side to really fix these last few issues that we thought we really needed to before releasing. And it's the time.
It is the time. And the cool thing about this whole thing is that both our companies are crowdfunding successes, and we are big on finally letting the voices of the community or the world be heard on what they want. Clearly they want the Oculus Rift, clearly they want Star Citizen, and clearly they want the Oculus Rift and Star Citizen, and that's happening now.
Well, as you can see a lot, I think we're going to go full VR, which would be this, my VR goggles, my joystick.
This is the first time this Oculus Rift is going to be in play, so I'm really looking forward to that.
The Oculus Rift?
I'm most excited about the Oculus Rift.
Pete's got Rift! Gotta go.
For the first time today, we tried it out with the Oculus Rift. So there's issues with the HUD.
The cockpit looks so much like Wing Commander 2. It's crazy, it's like super pixelated.
Basically it's rendering two of them. So the right eye, left eye rendering has a whole HUD in each. And obviously it's stereoscopic, it's supposed to be one HUD overlaid. So that needs some work.
Dude, the cockpit is by far the
Just look down and look at your joystick.
I don't know what the Afghan glyph is, but if it's cool, we probably would. I mean, we've looked at some other stuff like space glasses, which is sort of a cool glass you can wear that has an overlay on top, which may be something interesting for sort of an overlaid HUD setup. But yeah, we kind of want to support a bunch of sort of head-mounted displays and things also like Track AR, so that's all on our list of stuff to do.
In an earlier build of Arena Commander, the Oculus was working and we could go on our ships and stuff, and it was rough, but it was still cool. Now it doesn't seem to work. Are you guys going to be bringing that back into Arena Commander in the near future? I know you're busy on Persistent Universe and stuff, but...
So basically, I mean, I would say that it would happen for the multi-cruise ship combat. And then it will be there. We'll be supporting Oculus Rift. We'll probably be supporting the Valve Vive, and if they ever bring Morpheus onto a PC, maybe we'll support that too, or some other versions of stuff, and Magic Leap or whatever. These are all things that we would want and like to support. There is work that's gone towards them, and there's also work that's in some future sort of builds that we have that we'll be able to share later on, but they're not in the current build that you guys have. Thinking that potentially sort of some of the newer VR support will be with the multi-cruise ship stuff later this year. But it's all part of the greater plan, and they will be supported, and we will not basically pick one side of party. Okay, hopefully that answers that question for you.
The merge is also adding an updated CryEngine SDK. There are lots of great new features, the much-hyped VR tie-ins and more. As we said last week, it's short-term pain for long-term gain.
We will support VR, and we will try to make it work in Squadron 42. The only issue is going to be in some of the cinematic scenes, potentially. So it has the same challenges that every VR game does. So there's the answer. But yeah, VR should be working in Squadron 42 and Star Citizen. All right, so the status of VR integration. Thank you, Santa. Now the Frankfurt team, by the way, are a bunch of the folks that are the leads there are the guys that originally did the VR work at Crytek. So they know it pretty well, but I would be expecting it to sort of get up to sort of speed with the most recent stuff sometime early next year. I mean, it really all sort of depends. I mean,
sorry to say, do not hold your breath for this. Ignoring the render tech for VR itself, which given the work we've done, would definitely be a read and rewrite job, not a merge this file job. Making a game properly VR compliant takes a lot of work at the design and testing level regardless of the engine used. We'd probably need to get the frame rate up a bit higher too, come to think of it.
Because we will be a VR-capable game, we're kind of forced to project the UI in 3D space, because otherwise it just wouldn't work. In a traditional flat 2D menu, you just wouldn't be able to read it. So you need to project it at some sort of distance away for it to actually be usable. So we sort of do that from the get-go, and that's sort of always been our driving paradigm in UI design.
On the VR front, the game is very much built to be VR friendly because,
like almost all the UI is diegetic, and the stuff that isn't, we're putting more into being diegetic, and we want to improve the whole diegetic feel. You know, our biggest holdback on the VR is really just we're still doing so much base level refactoring on the engine and the renderer, and we'll, you know, be starting on sort of the Vulcan DX12 kind of refactor as well. And we're doing so much optimization that we sort of feel like we've got to get that done first, and, you know, get the base level engine stuff more like finished, not constantly working refactoring, and then we'll put VR, because, you know, we had actual, you know, VR support quite a while ago, but of course, again, as we change stuff, it breaks.
While we're on the topic of big tech questions, VR, man. We've been talking about VR forever.
I know. Well, so we got to get Vulcan in first. Once Vulcan's in, which we've started to do some of the early setup work for it, then VR would be after Vulcan.
I just wanted to say that there are people here at CIG who are huge VR enthusiasts, and we will do anything within our capabilities to bring it to Star Citizen. It will be a huge task, it will take a while, but I have no doubt we will get there.
Yeah, sure. So my name is Sylvan. I work for CIG for over 3 years now.
Some of the OG users would actually love to know what happened to the old version of VR. Is it even still there code-wise, or did you just yank it out completely?
No, I deleted it.
It's you who took it out. Base 0 implementation, cockpit in Arena Commander, or are y'all gonna reach for the stars, so to speak?
I don't make the decisions.
Yes,
CIG.
yes.
I can only say what I want to do.
Yeah, in an optimal world, let's say, yeah, what would you prefer?
So it's difficult because, like, games not made for VR from the ground up. It's difficult to implement VR afterwards. The end goal of Gen 12, however, is to make use of a new graphics API called Vulcan, which will boost performance even more and also allows us to add new cool features like AI scaling, ray tracing, efficient multi-view rendering for VR, and Linux support, and more.
Whatever you want to play with, you can do it in Star Citizen. As you can see, I'm playing with a lot. There you go.